Day one of the affirmation challenge. I'm so excited to have you guys here and welcome back to my channel. The reason I really want to do this challenge is because I just hit my luteal phase, right? Thing about my luteal phase is I don't have good mental health during this phase. I get a lot of anxiety coming up. I get a lot of bad thoughts coming up. A lot of imposter syndrome coming up, and I don't have time for that. I want to feel how I feel in the follicular and ovulation phase. Obviously, unfortunately, that can't always happen. But there is ways that you can help support yourself in this phase of your cycle. So I decided randomly, thanks to my spirit team, to do an affirmation challenge so that we can do this together. If you follow me on Instagram and TikTok, you probably already know about this affirmation challenge. I would have done this the previous week, but as I'm recording this, I'm doing it with you guys right now. Today is day one, and today we're focusing on healing. And the reason I wanted to focus on that first is, I feel like when you have a positive thought train towards healing in general, it means that all the other themes that are going to be coming up in the next 7 days during this affirmation challenge are going to feel a little bit easier. So that's why I wanted to start with healing today. I am going to pop up right here on the screen affirmations that we're going to be doing today. I of course am going to be using my phone and I'm going to be saying these out loud, and then I'm also going to be journaling. This is one from Illumicrate. I love it. I literally was thinking, what am I going to use this for? And then I thought, oh, perfect timing, affirmation challenge. And you can't tell me that's not the perfect book for it. This entices me to want to write in it. Actually says for finding dreams that don't exist. Let's go into these affirmations. We have them right here. So I'm going to be writing down these and saying them at the same time. I did actually also say to do it 3 times. So that's what I'm going to be doing. So let's get to it now. I'm using a texter because I couldn't find a pen. First one, actually, hang on. I'm gonna move you guys so you can see. You guys see all my shoes? Hang on. I was like, why is this not moving? Oh, there we go. We got it. There you go. You can see me writing now. So there we go. We've got that there. I give myself permission. There we go. I give myself permission to heal. It's day 2 of the affirmation challenge, and today's focus is self-love. That's come at a perfect time. Today, my intrusive thoughts are really surfacing themselves up. I'm having a coffee right now, by the way. Yeah, so my intrusive thoughts are very much coming up for me at the moment. Very deep in that luteal phase. I actually wouldn't be surprised if my cycle came early. How anxious I feel today, and I'm trying to remind myself, first of all, it's okay for me to feel this way. It's not gonna last forever. That's a really big thing for me. I have to remind myself it's not going to last forever. It's a bit windy today. Hopefully you guys can hear me. I just feel like I could easily plummet today, and for that reason I'm so glad I'm doing this affirmation challenge and holding myself accountable. Knowing that there's other people doing this alongside me makes me feel, hand on heart, so grateful that I'm surrounded by such a beautiful community. So let's get into this. I just thought, wow, that's so funny that today I've made the affirmation self-love. It's almost like I knew that today I was going to be struggling the most with my mental health. A quick look on my Stardust app. That's the app I use to track my period, my cycle. What day am I? I'm day 19. I have a 27 to 28 day cycle usually. As you can see here, I'm deep in the luteal phase, and today's affirmations, I'm going to pop them here on the screen. I'm loved by myself when I make mistakes, because I feel like that's a really important one, right? You need to love yourself even when everything doesn't go right. We're just going to work with that dog barking. It barks quite often. And I can't make it stop, so I apologize for the barking dog. It's not my dog's. I deserve to feel loved by myself in all moments. How others treat me is not a reflection of how lovable I am. I pour love back into myself every day. That is a really important one, because I know so many of you don't do that, me included at times, so that's also another important one. When I look in the mirror, I see beauty in every form. That's another thing with your cycle. And even when I look back on videos and photos of the start of this month, not the start of my cycle, but the follicular phase of my cycle, my skin is glowing. You'll probably see that in one of my previous videos, put up a couple of weeks before this one. I'm glowing. My face is snatched. And now it's not I still have pretty good skin, okay? I have pretty good skin still, but I did get a few breakouts, which that's fine. It's hormonal breakouts. It is what it is. But I also can sense a lot of fluid retention in my face. My eyes feel puffy. I just feel like I'm holding more fluid in my body. And that's just part of the process. So I feel like that last one is super important. When I look in the mirror, I see beauty in every form, because as people who have their cycle, you are going to change facial features. Honestly, take a photo of yourself every week of that month for the 4 weeks, and then notice how much your face changes. It's wild. Wild. So you're going to have times, you know those times where you're like, everything I do or everything I wear looks ugly. Why do I feel ugly? And no one is ugly. Everyone is beautiful in my opinion. I do find that in the luteal phase of my cycle, I am the most harsh on myself, which sucks, but this is the longest phase in your cycle. That is not fair at all. Anyway, let's get into these. Yesterday we did do a one, and I have a texture, but I got a different color this time, like a pinky purple color. We're switching it up. We have our affirmations on this page, and we have the journal prompt on this page. Hello, hello. You want to say hello to? Oh, okay. My dog's want to come say hello. You want to say hello, Abby? Hello. Ah, hello. Hello. Do some affirmations. Okay, you do. You write my affirmations. I need that back. Okay, let's get into these affirmations. We're going to do the affirmations first, and then we're going to do the journal prompt. We're on day 3 of the affirmation challenge, and today's affirmation challenge is all about, insert image here, boundaries. So boundaries are super important, and I do feel like this was such an important theme that I wanted to touch base on. I also know it's a theme that a lot of people struggle with. It's a theme that I very much struggle with, and even at times still do struggle with. I feel like our boundaries will continue to change over time as we change ourselves. So that's just something to note, and that's why I wanted to talk about boundaries in a greater sense and cover the affirmations so that they kind of touch base on the fact that these can be linear. So let's do these affirmations together. It is currently 7:54 at night. That just changed, 7:55, and I'm only just doing them now because I haven't had time to do them today. We're making time wherever we can. Now, day 1 we did blue color, and I think it's really fun to change up the colors. I've decided we did a purpley pink color for day 2. But today for boundaries, I mean, when I think of boundaries, I think of the color black. Black is all about protection in witchcraft, if you don't know that already. I did do an episode, or a podcast episode, sorry, on color magic, so definitely go check that out. So I'm thinking I want to do like a darker color today, just based on that alone. I don't think we have. What if I did like a darker purple? I know that's technically for intuition. I feel like we can make that work. I can tell I'm in my luteal phase. Oh my god, I've just been fumbling on my words all day today. So yesterday I was like an anxious mess, and today I'm just frazzled and my brain is just all over the show. Kind of just trying to honor where I am in my cycle. So if you see me splutter on my word, that's just where I'm at. I have a feeling it's going to come in the next couple of days though. Have a weird feeling it's going to do that. Go through today's affirmations. Okay, so as I said, focus day 3 is boundaries. I'm going to insert it here on the screen again. We have, my boundaries are a form of self-care. I listen to my inner needs by saying no when something doesn't feel right for me. That is a really important one to do, because I think at times we feel like we have to say yes to things, and you don't ever have to say yes to anything. I mean, there's going to be times where you're like, oh, I don't really want to do it, because you're feeling nervous and you have to show up for yourself. That's probably the only exception to that, but that's not a boundary. A boundary when it comes to saying no is like someone asking you to do something, almost like your body saying, this doesn't feel right for me. If I do this, this feels wrong. You need to listen to that feeling, because that's like your intuition channeling through your body to tell you no. So I thought I would elaborate on that. And we have, every day I'm worthy of setting and maintaining boundaries in my life, because I feel like, as I said, especially if you have a monthly cycle, you're gonna have times in your cycle where you feel more inclined to not have your boundaries up, to almost shit on your own boundaries, to be totally honest. I've been speaking from my own experience, and I have to be very wary of that. That's why I'm saying, like, why I talk so much about, oh, I'm in my luteal phase, I'm in my follicular phase, I'm in my ovulation phase, I'm in my menstruation phase. I talk about all those phases because they genuinely do not just change me physically, which I did talk about yesterday when we talked about self-love, but also mentally, spiritually. Every part of me is going to be different. For instance, the other day was a full moon, and I had every intention of doing a releasing ritual, and when it came to that night, after, because it was such a busy week for me, and when it came to that night, I just was too tired. This is where I'm going to talk about like having self boundaries too, is the fact that you also need, like, I needed to honor myself in that moment. Of course, I love doing my full moon rituals, but I didn't feel up to it that night. If I push myself to do it, not only would I end up in burnout, burnout. But secondly, that's not showing up for myself. If you're pushing yourself beyond to the point where you are so exhausted and so burnt out, that's not showing up for yourself. That is the complete opposite of that. So that's also something to be super mindful of. Because of that, I just didn't do anything for the full moon. And I was like, oh my God, it's a lunar eclipse though. It's like super powerful. And then I just talked to myself like a friend. I said to myself, the most powerful thing you can do right now is just rest, because at the end of the day, your body is a magic vessel. And if you're pushing it beyond its limitations to the point of burnout, where is the magic coming from? You don't have it. You don't have access to it. It's always there. You can't access it when you're exhausted. So rest. And lastly, we have, each time I honor my boundaries, I feel more confident to express my needs and create a space for safety. Again, I always talk about the fact that boundaries are a form of self-care. Boundaries are so important because you are creating a safe space for yourself, also a safe space for all the relationships in your life. It's so important to have boundaries with every single person in your life. Even as a mum, it's important to have boundaries with your own children, because you're being the example of what it would be like for them outside of the family unit in the real world, because they will have moments in their life where they will have to set boundaries and also adhere to other people's. Perfect people to learn from when it comes to adhering to other people's boundaries are their own parents. So for me, I always say to my kids, okay, I'm gonna go have 5 minutes to myself. This is me setting a boundary. I'm letting you know right now that I need a little break for 5 minutes. Please let me have a shower in peace. And that in itself is a boundary. And boundaries can look different for everybody. And again, that's why I wanted to cover these in a slightly generalized sense. I don't like to do generalized things too much. I do want to be able to help. And I do feel like this is the best way that I can help, is to generalize things. So as I said, boundaries are going to be different for everybody, but they're also going to be even different for you, because you are going to change. So I might have certain boundary around the time I have my period, right? For me, it's like, I don't want to socialize with anyone. I just need to be away from people. It's not the time I feel like being social. First of all, I'm in agony. I have endometriosis. And second of all, because it's just the time where I need to hermit. And even like my late luteal phase for me, it's not a time to be social. And everyone in my life, I'm very vocal about that. I'm like, I'm in this phase of my cycle right now where I need to step away from people. And that's my boundary right now, because in order for me to show up for myself and love myself, I need to go into hermit mode. And anyone in my life who cares about me will adhere to that boundary and will respect that boundary. People who don't adhere and respect your boundaries are people who thrive off the fact that you do not have them. And I would seriously question whether those people should be in your life or not, because whenever someone sets a boundary, even with me, and I'm not gonna lie, at first it's a little uncomfortable when someone sets a boundary, because there's a part of you that's gonna be like a little offended. But then you just have to remind yourself, this is them showing our relationship right now love for one another by them saying, I care about you, but right now I care about me and I need to put me first. So then when I do have the time and I do have the capacity to give back to you, I'm giving back to you in fullness and connection rather than just giving you half-hearted energy. I don't believe in that. But anyway, that's my spiel on boundaries today. I'm probably going to do a video or a podcast just all on boundaries, because it's something I could go into great detail about, because first of all, it's something I've had to learn a lot about, and through some really hard lessons for me. You know, at the time those lessons were really hard. They were very valuable lessons for me to learn, and I'm very grateful for that now. At the time, of course, it was super uncomfortable for me to be setting boundaries, but over time, the more you do it, the easier it truly does get. Just like with anything, like, don't be hard on yourself if you're like, this is making me really uncomfortable, I feel very anxious. I so totally understand why you feel that way, and it will always feel that way when you're doing something new, because your body is so uncomfortable, because you're testing yourself in a pond of newness. And I do believe that you have to sit in that energy for a little bit. As I said, we're all beginner at something at some point in our lives, if not various times in our lives. So we have the journal prompt here as well. When was the last time you set a boundary, and why? How did it make you feel? So this is a really important question, because it's kind of like testing the waters of future you setting boundaries, but also how past you has potentially not set boundaries. And it's a good reminder as to why you should be setting boundaries. And this is also a journal prompt that you can come back to at any moment, because you'll find, just like with any journal prompt, you're gonna have a different answer every couple of months. I kid you not. Always go back over journal prompts that you've done in the past, because you will always have a different answer. Same with shadow work. You're always going to have a different answer to the question that you've already answered. And I find that fascinating, because we grow and evolve as humans. Anyway, I'm gonna get into this because I'm holding myself accountable. It's day 4 of the affirmation challenge, and today's affirmation challenge is all about abundance. This would be a great one to touch base on because I feel like, first of all, abundance can mean so many different things for so many different people. It's not just like prosperity and money. It can also be having a safe home to live in. It can be the job that you have. It can be the family that you have or the friends that you're surrounded by. It can be the hobbies that you have. It can be an array of things, basically, you know what I mean. Abundance is many things. The journal prompt that I did actually make for the affirmation challenge today kind of covers base on that. Today's journal prompt, which insert here, what does the word abundance mean to me and what would I consider abundance as? So I really wanted to touch base on that because it's a great reminder to appreciate, first of all, what we already have. As I truly do believe in order to gain more abundance, we also need to have gratitude and appreciation for the abundance that we currently already have. Prosperity can also cross-reference to not just money as well. Like, you can be prosperous in love, you can be prosperous in friends. Prosperous basically means a lot of, right? Just like abundance does. So I feel like this is like the perfect journal prompt, and what I will say is really sit down and actually find this as a time to reflect on what you do currently have in your life and the things that you are grateful for, because this can always fall under gratitude, which I will also touch base on in another theme in the future. For now, I do want you to touch base on it just a little bit. For the affirmations that we have today for today's challenge of abundance, we have: I welcome abundance into my everyday life. I appreciate all that I already have. I am a magnet for abundance and prosperity. I allow myself to open up to all that I desire. Everything I desire desires me in return. The reason I created these affirmations was because I wanted to touch base on a few different ways of how you can change your mindset when it comes to abundance. When I'm saying I welcome abundance into my everyday life, it's basically saying that every single day you're waking up and something's happening to you that is lucky or amazing and what you would consider abundant, which is also why I'm saying it's really important to reflect on what abundance means to you, because you will have a greater understanding of that affirmation. And we have: I appreciate all that I already have. Again, that is kind of coming back to the present moment and appreciating and having gratitude for what you do already have. And secondly, I just want to touch base on the fact that your manifestations don't have a timeline. They will come when they are ready to come. So that's just also a timely reminder that unfortunately, like, time only exists as humans. It doesn't actually exist in the grander scheme of things, even though I know to us it does feel like that. At the end of the day, it's not really a thing. Time is a concept so that humans can understand a little bit better and have a little bit more routine and structure in their life. It helps our brain understand humanness just a little bit more. I'm gonna be so real with you guys right now. I didn't do the challenge yesterday. I'm so sorry. Thing is, I'm in my late luteal phase and I'm feeling it. I was feeling it really hardcore yesterday, and I really had to honor that. I really had to honor my needs in that moment. And yesterday I needed to rest. I had a very busy morning and I had to go in the city and all of that sort of stuff. And then by the time I got home, like, I also have ADHD, so social scenarios and social situations drain the heck out of me. I literally have to go hibernate for like multiple days after those experiences. I'm making up for it today. So today technically should be day 6. I'm gonna do day 5 with you guys today instead. Do have a coffee. This is my second coffee for the day. Claps for the mug. We love it. It's time for festivity, okay? Yeah. Is it the 3rd of November? Yes. That to me is silly season. So we're drinking out of Christmas mugs now. Any excuse, any excuse. Is Beltane coming up in the following week, but I don't care. We're doing it anyway. Confidence is something I think that we all struggle with from time to time. But even when we think we're confident in life, when we step into new areas of our life, so a new career path, a new home, a new relationship, and that can be romantic or with friends, people for the first time, there's so many things in our life where we're going to have new experiences, where we're going to feel a slight lack of confidence. I do believe that confidence comes from pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. And I also believe that confidence comes from being quote unquote good at something or being well practiced at something. So something that you're kind of comfortable with. So with that being said, let's do our affirmations for today. We have right here, them here on the screen. So I'm going to talk these out with you guys like I usually do. I think it's really fun to do that and kind of elaborate on why I'm saying what I'm saying and why I've chosen this theme for today. So today we have the affirmations of I radiate confidence every day I wake up. I think that speaks for itself. Every decision I make, I do it with conviction and confidence. That's because a lot of the time when we do make decisions in our life, we're going to have a slight hesitancy. As I said before, if this is not something that you're well versed in, or it's a new chapter in your life, or just something new that you haven't done before, and a lot of the time we do have some hesitancy coming up with that. So I feel like that affirmation was going to be really good with decision making, because I think a lot of the time confidence can affect our ability to make decisions in our life. But it also means that our ability to make decisions, it can mean that we quite often hold ourselves backward because we're scared of making the wrong decision. And I feel like that feeling comes up when we're not feeling confident in ourselves. So that's why I put that affirmation in there. Then we have I am fearless and confident in myself. I mean, I don't think anyone's fearless at the end of the day. I don't really feel like that's a thing, but it's good to tell yourself that anyway. I know when I go into something new, you know when you get that butterfly feeling? There's two reasons you get butterfly feelings. A, because you're really, really nervous. B, because you're excited about something. I tell myself when I'm the nervous one, I'm not nervous, I'm just really, really excited. I'm kind of trying to trick my brain into like distinguishing that feeling isn't necessarily always a bad feeling, because yeah, I don't know if anyone else is like that, but I get butterflies when I'm nervous and when something doesn't feel right, but also when I'm excited. I'm doing something new and I'm nervous, I just tell myself, hey, we're totally fine. We've got this. You got to talk to yourself like a friend. And if you haven't listened to my recent podcast episode, I did talk about how to be your own friend. And we have I believe in myself and back myself with everything I do in life. Again, this kind of speaks for itself. Confidence comes from backing yourself regardless of how you feel. A lot of the time when we step into new things in our life that are new, we're not going to have all the answers, and you've almost got to trick your brain and your way of thinking to being okay with that, being okay with question marks, because I feel like when we have question marks, we kind of lack a lot of confidence, obviously. But also when I said I believe in myself and I back myself, it's you saying, hey, I know this is new for us, but guess what? You're doing amazing and you'll never know unless you try. And I always tell myself that, even starting this YouTube channel. And then I had to sit back with myself and say, you know what? It's okay that I feel this way, but you're doing amazing and other people are going to see that in you. You will attract the people that want to see your content, want to learn from you, want to experience things with me. We have people for all of us at the end of the day, right? And it's so funny how our brain tricks us at times. Like, we have no one. We're not going to have anyone to back us. And that's why I'm saying, like, at the end of the day, you really do have to back yourself, because when you back yourself, you're showing others not only how to back themselves too, but also how they should back you as well. But you have to make that start yourself. And then we have, lastly, the affirmations today and every day after that, I have endless amounts of courage. Courage and confidence are very similar, but also very different from one another. I just need a little coffee break. Good. That's really good coffee. I make a good coffee in my opinion. Okay, so back to what we were talking about. I do believe that courage comes from very similar things to confidence. So confidence is usually an energy that you radiate. Courage is something that you do when you feel scared or nervous. Let me know what you think on that one. That's just my view on the two energies of that. And I do believe that you can be courageous and you can show others how to be courageous. And I do also truly believe that when we show up for ourselves, we show others how to show up for themselves too. That's why I'm filming myself doing this affirmation challenge, because I really hope that me showing up for myself inspires you. Let's go through the journal prompt first before I do it myself. So the journal prompt today, which I have here on my phone, that here, is what is a small step you can take to be more confident? For example, what's something you've been potentially putting off for a time when you feel more ready? First of all, on that note, I don't think that we're ever truly ready for anything in our life. I think you just have to take the first step into doing something new, because I don't think that we're ever truly ready for things. It's affirmation day 6. Is it? Wait. We're doing affirmation day 6 today, and affirmation day 6 was all about self-worth. So with that being said, let's get into today's affirmations. I'm going to pop them up here on the screen. If you want to do this at your own pace, it's why I've recorded this journey of mine, so that I can show you that I'm doing it, hopefully inspire you to want to do it as well. Show up for yourself. It's a super easy challenge to do, just showing up for yourself for 7 days. And as I said, you can do it completely at your own pace. You can start this whenever, but my top advice is to continue to do it every single single day. So with self-worth, I feel like this is a really good thing that I really wanted to touch base on, because I feel like when it comes to self-worth, if we don't have it, we're going to hold ourselves back in all the other things that we've already covered. That's why I really wanted to cover self-worth. So I'm going to say these affirmations out loud with you guys. We have, I'm worthy in all moments of my life. And the reason I wanted to touch base on the I'm worthy in all moments of my life is because, first of all, we are, and second of all, because when we make mistakes in our life, we tend to be so tough on ourselves. I do feel like we are our harshest critic. Out of everyone, we tend to be the person that treats ourselves the worst. And I feel like it's important to remind yourself that even when you make mistakes or you quote unquote fail at something, I truly don't think we ever fail at anything in life. My motto is the only time you fail at something is if you just don't try at all. So to me, that's what I personally consider a failure. But I know failure can mean things to so many different people. But that's why I think it's important to focus on the fact that you're worthy in all moments of your life. It's really important to remind yourself that even when you do make mistakes, you're still a worthy person. My worth doesn't need to be seen by others for me to be worthy. I'm always worthy regardless. So this kind of leads from the other one. And the reason I also wanted to do this affirmation was because I feel like we tie our self-worth to how other people view us, how other people see us, and how other people perceive us. And the thing is, we're not going to be for everyone in our life. And the moment I started to be okay with that is the moment that my self-worth stopped being tied to other people. And it's really important that your self-worth is just tied to you. And that's why it's called self-worth at the end of the day. You are the most important person, and what you think about yourself is always going to be the most important thing at the end of the day. So that's why I'm saying your worth doesn't need to be seen by other people to be of value. I value myself as a person. So this I also think is really important, because I feel like we tend to, again, put our value in a lot of other things externally to us. So this can be our role as a friend, our role as a partner, our role as a parent, even our role as a daughter or a son. It can also be our role in our job or our career. You know, there's so many aspects of where we tie our value to. Also, your value is just how you see yourself. That's why I'm saying it's important to understand that your value is not just tied to everything around you, but just who you are as a person. Then we have, I am worthy of abundance, happiness, peace, and love. I think that kind of speaks for itself. I feel like at times we kind of limit ourselves and have some self-limitations around what we think we're worthy of receiving. And then our last one, we have, even on my worst days, I'm still a valuable and worthy person. Again, I do think that this kind of speaks for itself. It's basically saying that even on the days where I'm feeling tired, triggered, maybe I'm a bit cranky, all the times where you're just not feeling like your best self, you're still worthy and valuable as a person. So going to the extra journal prompt, which I have loved adding those to the affirmations just to extend on what we've already talked about and what you've already written down, is when was a time that I felt unworthy and why? The reason I think this is important is because reflection on past experiences is really important, because we learn things from those experiences so that going forward we can be a little bit more mindful towards ourselves when we do have those feelings of unworthiness kind of coming up. And then we also have, when was a time that I did feel worthy, or when I felt worthy and why? So this again is another reflection point, just to kind of understand the times where you have felt unworthy and the times that you felt worthy, and asking yourself why those examples maybe in those times is why you felt that way. As I said, a great reflection point, because it allows you to learn more about yourself, also how you react to future experiences that you're going to have, where you're going to have times where you are going to have feelings of unworthiness coming up and having feelings of worthiness coming up. The reason I say it's important to reflect on these is because it's important to have a bit more compassion for yourself, especially when you do have those feelings of unworthiness coming up. I'm going to leave it with that, and I will see you for day 7 tomorrow, which is going to be all about intuition. The first one of our affirmations, we have, I am deeply connected to my intuition. I feel like this is a really important one, just because, I mean, it speaks for itself. It's about being deeply connected to yourself. At the end of the day, intuition is something that we all have. I feel like there are some people out there who try to gaslight other people and tell you that you don't have that, but we're all born with intuition at the end of the day. And it's up to us whether we take time to actually connect with that part of ourselves or not. Then we have, I trust what my intuition tells me in all moments. The reason I really wanted to highlight this one in particular was because I feel like there's there's times where we don't trust our gut instinct, and then in reflection we realize we probably should have trusted that part of ourselves. And you'll see where I put the journal prompt pin on that reflection there. But I feel like that's a really important affirmation, just to affirm that, like, at the end of the day, you need to trust yourself more than you trust anybody else on this earth, because your body and your mind and your soul is going to tell you things that nobody else is going to know about you. I connect to my spirit guides every day in many ways. I feel like we all kind of get in the trap of like angel numbers and signs and things like that, and all of those are a thing. I'm definitely not telling you that they're not, because they are, and if that's how you connect to your spirit team, that's amazing. I'm just saying that there's lots of ways that you can connect with your spirit team, and I will do a separate video on that at some point in the future, talking about all the signs and synchronicities and things like that you can watch out for that are not just numbers and animals. Then we have, I stay open to where and what my spirit guides are guiding me and showing me. This is really important because at the end of the day, I think we kind of close ourselves off to signs, or we ask for a sign. I think we've all been there before, and it's really important to just trust the first sign that you see and acknowledge it, because I think if you're constantly asking for signs, you're kind of disconnecting from your intuition and your connection to your own spirit team. Then to finalize the affirmations, which is our last affirmation for this challenge, is when I trust my intuition, I learn how to radically trust myself each time. So I feel like with intuition, I definitely feel like, as I said before, it's something that we're all born with, but I do feel like it's a muscle. We need to kind of work it. The more we trust ourselves, the easier that trust kind of gets. And this goes for like trusting your intuition, and that's why I wrote on there, I learn how to radically trust myself each time, because I understand we don't just wake up the next day and then automatically feel connected to our intuition. That sort of thing can take time, but the more you do it, the easier it gets. I think I touched base on that on one of the other days in this affirmation challenge, but at the end of the day, the more you trust yourself, the easier the trust becomes. And for our final journal prompt, we have, what makes you feel the most connected to yourself, and what is your favorite way of connecting to your spirit guides and why? I feel like these kind of speak for themselves. What makes you feel the most connected to yourself? At the end of the day, if you're connected to yourself, you will be connected to your spirit team and the universe, the collective, everything to a greater source. But at the end of the day, that connection is always going to come from you first. And then what is your favorite way of connecting to your spirit guides and why? I feel like this is a really fun way just to remind you of, like, firstly, how you connect to your spirit team, why you connect to your spirit team, and maybe potentially also inviting you to look at connecting to your spirit team in more ways than just the ways that you're currently doing. I definitely invite yourself to kind of open up that practice. So for instance, you might connect to your spirit team through meditation, and then you might also invite connecting to them through music instead, or you might pull cards for yourself but you don't do meditation. So this would be a time to kind of invite yourself to do the meditation instead. So that finalizes the affirmation challenge. I'm so grateful. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for connecting with me. I have so many ideas for many more challenges coming up, so keep your eyes peeled on that, because this is definitely not going to be the last one. And thank you for showing up for yourself. I really hope that you're proud of yourself for doing that too. Bye.
If you thought that you loved me, well, trust me, you didn't. The proof's in your lies and your toxic decisions.